The Navy Midshipmen take the field in their home opener. A major matchup with divisional implication in the American Athletic Conference West. The Memphis Tigers, preseason favorite, face the Navy Midshipmen. A pleasant good afternoon. John Sadak alongside the Hall of Famer Randy Cross. Randy, this was the game where Navy season took a pivot last year. 5-0, nationally ranked, turned it over 5 times. A tailspin erupted that has spilled into this year and found Navy searching.
Yeah, last week against Hawaii, there was going to be a big change. Everything was going to be different. Well, a dull thud. Things weren't different. 28-0 at one point at the very beginning. Seemed very unemotional, and Coach Ken Niumatalolo went back to the basics when it came to how do they win this game. And really, it's win the turnover battle. You mentioned the 5 turnovers last year against Memphis. Be a nice place to start. In-game discipline, that's where you line up. That's the details of your assignment for every single player. And never give up. It's not a lack of effort, but it's away from the ball, away from things. Even on special teams, you just got to be hustling and you got to be moving.
I'm usually hustling to the dessert, and it seems that's where Navy has found perhaps some fate and fortune.
Well, Coach Ken, his little staff dinner, brought in Chinese food. He got a fortune cookie just like this. He opens it up. What's it say inside? It says, "Good things come at home."
And soon will be in my belly. For Memphis, they play well home or road, and this year they do it with some big changes at some big positions.
They really do. You know, normally going into a season, you'd be kind of nervous replacing Riley Ferguson and Anthony Miller, as dynamic as those two were. But what Brady White did calmed a lot of nerves. 5 touchdowns last week, over 300 yards passing, showed great chemistry with the other offensive players, plus a real mastery of Coach Norvell's offense.
A system that is translated well. Will it translate in this weather? The skies are unforgiving. Visibility just about barren, and the rain starts to drive on down. It feels like late October, bud.
No, nothing to it. I think it does favor the running team rather than the passing team in this case, and it'd be Navy.
The Navy kicks, and Tony Pollard about as dynamic as they come in the return game. He can fair catch inside of his own 25, a rule change that Navy used with a plum. Pollard, though, even if he's a stride or 2 deep, he's usually a bolt of lightning right out. So Owen White handles the kick, and they go away from Pollard, and here's Darrell Henderson, who makes 1 miss, 2 miss, and then gets pumped down, knocked to the ground by Jared Ryan on coverage, a 17-yard run back. Time now for the Chick-fil-A starting lineups, and the quarterback that you mentioned for Memphis, Brady White, got hurt against your alma mater, UCLA, a right foot injury in his lone start in 2016. That cost him a couple of years, but he showed no rust last week.
Hey, redshirted last year here at Memphis. Worked out just perfectly, though, with Mike Norvell's offense. The way he ran it at Arizona State is exactly how he runs it here. Reminds me a lot of the old Washington Redskins offense when they're used to tight ends.
And Joe Gibbs days as they go empty. Henderson, quick hitter with some blockers. And ball loose. Navy falls upon it. And the Midshipmen turn over Memphis at the game start. Shades of the opening kick from the matchup a year ago.
Nice job by Heflin getting on that ball, because that ball just comes squirting out. Look at the way they set up this screen. Quick little wide receiver screen with a tight end out there blocking. Helmet on the ball by, I believe it was Sean Williams. The ball comes out and Heflin recovers it.
The captain on defense jars it free. Cromartie had the recovery last week. That one just evaded his fingertips. So the Navy offense is out. Malcolm Perry, an explosive QB with a short field. He'll keep and take a big shot. Let's take a look at the Chick-fil-A starting lineup. The Moo is back at Annapolis, and Malcolm Perry once again under center.
Yeah, he showed last week with that 75-yard touchdown run how dynamic he can be at this position. And defenses make a real point, like you saw there. When he clears that first option, the fullback, they make sure there's a linebacker right in his chops.
Ken Niumatalolo and Ivan Jasper said they want him to avoid taking those shots. Give it up the gut to Anthony Gargiulo, the fullback on the pound. Jonathan Wilson denies. Ford Higgins is the undersized center trying to shield that duel.
Yeah, pretty much a fair fight when you look at Navy up front with their size. The one guy would be Higgins at 260 pounds. Otherwise, when it comes to size, a lot of the American teams are a bit larger than Navy. Not this Memphis team. This is pretty much a toe-to-toe job.
Gargiulo, the deep back, turning over the opponent. A big focus for Navy this week. Perry trying to find that right edge, gets a block, gets hit on high as he's angled out of bounds. That'll be good for a first. Veered out by Austin Hall. Gain of 9 on the play. Hall, big-time star in this matchup the last couple of years.
Yeah, good luck if you're a defensive back trying to come from that deep middle. And Perry's got a head of steam like this. Look at those those juke moves. That's like something straight off a game console. That you're able to make your player make that kind of a move is pretty amazing in real life.
The video game element is on a lot of national watch lists. Everyone tight. Memphis crowding that box as well. Perry tucks and plows, bowling into Josh Perry, who, unrelated, gets the start at free safety. Jonathan Wilson, though, might have the best nickname in college football, Randy.
Yeah, you like the swamp donkey, don't you?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
How do you not like that? I mean, especially when you put him right there with Dylan. You got the mullet and the swamp donkey. Come on.
A great combo, and he's also down about 15 pounds. They moved him from D tackle outside to end, where he saw some time last year. You like that?
Yeah, he played some out there at end, and he's more suited to that, I think.
Also has the smarts as well. So second and short. Might Navy take a shot? Gargiulo. Now this is what Navy had success with last year. Tripped up by O'Brien Goodson. They get a couple there. Driving straight into the teeth of Memphis's defense. That was the regret of play caller Ivan Jasper, that he went away from that.
Well, especially in this kind of double slot formation where they bring both their X receivers, the wide receivers, in at that double tight end look with the A backs just on the inside as a little slots. First part of your brain says, man, that puts all the defenders in one little box. But they only have to make one mistake and spread them out a little bit inside to make a big play pop.
They need only a few yards here. Abey at quarterback. Zach Abey, who's often used this year in these goal line short yardage situations, looks to be very close depending upon this spot.
And this start by the Navy offense is pretty much reminds me of last year against Memphis. Zach Abey, his batting percentage last week, that 4 touchdowns and 5 carries, good percentage. And clock is all important in a game like this.
Abey under center. He'll keep it himself right over top. And they'll get the first. Zach Abey with the physical push. Remember that last year they got a short field on a botched kick return by Memphis and had to settle for a field goal with a possession that began in the red zone.
Well, Ford Higgins does a really nice job inside with Gassell, the right guard. They get that push. It gets the first down.
And Ken Niumatalolo gets Malcolm Perry back on the field at the quarterback slot. Abey moves to wide receiver. Already nearly 4 minutes chewed up.
Still in that tight slot formation.
Trey Walker has a block, and he's inside of the 5. Taylor Jackson at wide receiver helped plow a path, and TJ Carter, the corner, disrupts.
Well, the other side of having all these defenders in a little box area, when you get a speed play like this and you get Walker the ball outside after a nice block by your wide receiver, there's nobody out there. He gets the edge easy and then speeds through the defense from there. Great play call upstairs by Ivan Jasper and company.
And did we see Jake Hawk out there as an extra tackle?
Yeah, but lined up as a receiver, I believe.
Changing things up. Abey tries to keep, and Memphis sniffs that out. They know when Abey's on the field, he'll find the ball, and Jackson Dillon found him.
Hey, you've always got to keep an eye from a standpoint of alignment. They will go tackle over, Navy will, in a second, and that's something defensively that Memphis is hyper aware of. We talk about the formations of Memphis on the offensive side. Well, Navy tends to like to play around. Ivan Jasper loves the tackle over, and that gives him great strength to one specific side. even set up on this one.
All started by a fumble forced by Sean Williams. Recovered by Taylor Heflin. Another pitch, a little bobble, and great closing speed. Austin Hall, the Maverick playmaker. They're all everything, according to defensive coordinator Chris Ball. Big stop.
Well, Austin Hall coming from his safety spot, and that can be deep middle, or that can be about 5 yards off the ball. And this time it was 5 yards off the ball, and they went to Austin Hall's side. That was perfect inside-out pursuit defensively.
Kind of like how I tracked down that cookie a while ago.
Well, it all depends on what your priorities are, yeah. He thinks ball carrier. You think Mrs. Fields.
Hey, throw some chocolate chips in. I'm all in. Red zone was an issue for Navy last year, not last week. And that was thanks to Zach Abey. But with Perry at quarterback, that's again read well. Nelson Smith denied by O'Brien Goodson. No gain.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Nelson Smith and how effective he can be in this offense today as quickly as he gets off the ball. You know, sometimes I think he's got to really take a beat. He's so quick, he can get there too early.
Bennett Mooring is out early for a chip field goal, 23 yards. And Mooring drills it. The Navy had the short field, goes for it on fourth, has to settle for 3.
Remember, the clock is all important. You turn the ball over like that. If you're Memphis, suddenly now 7 minutes later, you're getting the ball back for your second possession. That's a big deal when you play an option team.
One of the great traditions in all of sport, the march on. It'll shoot chills every time. Navy, a 3-0 advantage, short field, thanks to a fumble forced by Sean Williams, recovered by Taylor Heflin. They converted on 4th and short, had to settle for a chip shot field goal. And Tony Pollard, outstanding return man, is now in the off return position. And Owen White, who had never kicked off in his career before today, his second kick again to Henderson. And Henderson showing some shake. He gets the 26 as we go down to Sheehan Stanwyck Birch with more on Memphis quarterback Brady White.
That's right, Brady White, the graduate transfer from Arizona State. He had his 2016 season and shortly due to a serious foot injury that had him miss 2017 as well. However, in his debut for Memphis last week against Mercer, he was phenomenal. This Wednesday in practice, during a simple play though, a lineman rolled up on his left leg. White had to leave practice, got x-rays. They were negative. He was cleared to come back to practice, and he threw for another period. When I talked to Coach Norvell, he told me he was ready to go before this game. And I watched him during warm-ups. He looked good and not slowed down one bit.
Well, thank you, Sheehan. And Darrell Henderson slowed by Juan Haley at safety. He gets a first down, 17-yard play. But, Randy, you talked about it going to break. Nearly 7 minutes consumed by Navy's offense on that last possession.
That's exactly what you need possession-wise. You need to finish it off with a touchdown. Kind of like Brady on that one, needs to throw that ball a little bit higher.
That was short to DeMonte Coxie. Joey Magnifico, though, one of the great names in college football. He just needs a cape.
Does it get any better than that? I mean, really, is that straight out of the WWE or what?
Pollard motions into the backfield. He'll get the handoff here. And Pollard chipped down just shy of the 30 by Sean Williams. So we were told that Pollard nursing a bit of a hamstring issue, nicked up this week. They wondered how well he could go on both returns and on straight offense. Brady White swings it out to Patrick Taylor. Taylor showing some shimmy, but from behind, Anthony Villalobos trips him up, and he's just shy here.
And these little screens are a great idea against this Navy defense, who is obviously coming out pretty fired up and being very aggressive. You take a lot of the sting out of a defense with screens.
3rd and 1. Navy fades back, rushes 4 on the seam. Jared Ryan controls John Pop Williams, but he's got the first down. Another quick hitter. You like that flat area?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. That's what Navy is giving you. Go ahead and take those extra yards. Look at the space in the top of the screen right here. That's air. You can get a ball out there with a blocker. It's going to be yards.
Heflin makes contact with White after he gave the ball to the burly Patrick Taylor. Hudson Sullivan stymies him just past the 40. Heflin's been on a beeline for White.
Oh, he's been assigned. There's no doubt right now what the assignment's going to be. If they're going to concentrate on Cromartie, they're going to get a face full of Heflin.
Out of the pistol, Taylor a bigger back, 6'3", 223 behind him. That's loose. Loss of yards. Alema Kapoy able to touch White as he collapses upon the free football. Loss of 5.
And Kapoy has that defensive advantage. If you're an offensive lineman, you can't see what's happening behind you. That's why you see suddenly guys get free on the defensive side, because that's a dog going for a bone when they see the ball on the ground.
And White, a couple of negative plays on 2nd down have created 3rd and long twice. Edge pressure shown. Navy might have gone. Flags now flutter. White fires. Open target. Immediate contact.
And Cromartie got froze in the neutral zone. 56. Jumped off sides.
Defense, number 56. The penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
They turned it down with a gain of 14 instead of 5.
Yeah, I like it. Plus, it gives them a little rhythm. Yeah, they not only got the first down, but now they've got some stuff going. As offense, when you're on the offensive side, rhythm is very, very important. You get that whole feel and you start popping and you get very confident when you get rhythm.
It's like me at wedding receptions. Play fake. A little behind his target. Sean Dykes, the tight end, brings it in. Ball free.
I think it was incomplete.
Navy football. Another giveaway by Memphis.
Here he comes. He controlled it. Now the question is, as his rump hits the ground, is the ball out yet? But as the old saying goes, you know, one butt's worth 2 feet. So you're kind of down when that backside hits. And if the ball came out after that thigh and that backside hit the ground, it's not a fumble. It's incumbent upon Navy now to possess the ball, get first downs, and don't add that second punt per half.
It's been fumble, punt, fumble for Memphis. Play fake. Why not take a shot? Perry. Over top of Taylor Jackson. One of his bigger targets, too, at 6'3". Here's a look at the starters for the Navy defense, including Nizer Cromartie at that hybrid Raider position for DC Dale Pearson.
Yeah, it's not quite a safety, not quite a linebacker. Sort of a jack of all trades. You have to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Well, Perry, probably the last play. Off the fake. He breaks the plane to the 40. Final seconds fade. Now Curtis Akins, the stop of the first quarter, belongs to Navy. A 3-0 advantage with a pair of turnovers forced. We shift to the second. A big game in the American. The Mids by a field goal. It seems the fortune found might hold up. Rain falls and Navy dominated time of possession in the first quarter.
Yeah, pretty crazy when you get that kind of an edge. But, you know, that's all been about the execution. But I will mention it's 3-0. So there's no sort of let up. There's no sort of relax. You've just kind of mission accomplished one quarter if you're Navy. And if you're Memphis, especially offensively, it's just execute and hold on to the ball. Simple.
Navy 1 of 4 on 3rd down today. Here's 3rd and 6. Gargiulo, fullback, puts it on the ground. Navy recovers. Curtis Akins knocked it loose. Trey Walker was there, but they'll be short. Only get 3 yards, and on their own side of the 50, quickly Owen White, the punter, trots out.
Yeah, a little bit closer to the 50. You might have a different decision. But it's the inside of this Memphis defense doing a really nice job. And you saw that ball clearly came out. I mean, that thing was knocked out by Akins early on. That ball was knocked out of Gargiulo's arms. They're lucky that wasn't recovered by Memphis.
White gets it off. John Pop Williams measures it up. And in the rain gets wrestled down fiercely. Memphis, the inside run. Not much there. Taylor Heflin was on the spot. Heflin and Hudson Sullivan have been making a ton of plays at their linebacker slots right in the middle of the field.
And that usually means the D linemen, Polu and company up front, are doing their jobs, because that frees those linebackers up to run around and make those kind of plays.
2nd and 8. Brady White and his vaunted offense had 56 on the board at halftime last week. 8:03 and rolling in the second, scoreless. On the read, Taylor, even with all his size, can't overcome those numbers, and it's Hudson Sullivan again.
With the tackle. It's third down.
Armed Forces football proudly supported by Golden Corral. So here's 3rd down, 6 to go. Cromartie's been that X factor for Dale Pearson.
Tight end in the slot, top of the screen, Magnifico. Slots are where it's at in this situation to me.
Out of the empty set, extra blitzer. And a pass to Coxie, the top wideout from Memphis, and White and company convert.
Yeah, nice job by Coxie, just driving the cornerback off. Bought him that little extra space to come back to that ball and get that 1st down.
He's got a big body, had gone to satellite camps for LSU and Alabama. Here's John Pop Williams, big block. And he breaks the plane of midfield. Sullivan helps him out of bounds, but a big play right in the area where from jump you've said you see some success for Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a support guy, you're a corner in that position, you can't duck your head and get trapped inside, and that's what happened to the Navy corner in that case.
23 yards.
As Micah Farrar put his head down and Pops went outside.
Blitz is on. Taylor picks it up. White throws on the run just past the sticks is Coxie. That's another first as he picks up some more after the initial contact. Cromartie helps him out. 15 yards. And now the offense has sprung to life. There's a little vigor for Memphis.
Yeah, and it's substitution both ways. Offense and defense are making these substitutions.
Chess match on the fly. Back to the ground. And Taylor able to rumble using that size. Caleb Williams, cornerback, has to try to lasso down the 6'3", 225-pound back, a gain of 8.
And so far, Memphis has limited the eye candy. Not a whole lot of shifting so far, using tight ends.
Pop Williams, another screen. Angles out of bounds. They'll move the chains again. Another 1st down. Sean Williams aids him out of play. You can feel that tempo for a Memphis offense that turned it over twice in its first 3 possessions. Has had some big negative plays on 2nd down. Off the pump. Where was that going?
Oh my, was Magnifico open on that pump. He was the one he was pumping off to the left side. The tight end lined up on the bottom of or right here at tight end. Watch him spring open. There's the pump. See you later. Look how wide open he was.
I'm sure one that White and company would want back, but his poise heralded by all of his teammates and his coaches. Henderson, electric speed, but stuck hard by Hudson Sullivan. That's a gain of 1. Now Brady White at QB, 79% last week. Completion rate is high. A lot of these numbers are on this drive.
And don't forget, he played in the offense Mike Norvell had as offensive coordinator at Arizona State. That's the value. Talk about all these transferring quarterbacks. He came to Memphis last year, redshirted, watched Riley Ferguson, and got a master's in this offense.
3rd and 9. Long look, and the hard harm arrives, but the catch held on. Big time grab there by Kenny Gainwell, the running back who they can use out wide. They told us we'd see him more.
Well, look how far across the field, too, and that ball almost came loose. That was almost a fumble.
Gain of 11, now some tempo. And Henderson riding that right hash is inside of the 5. Heflin helps to trip him up. Give him 9.
Nice job by Heflin. He's kind of like one of those rocking horses out in front of the store. You put quarters in. He was giving out rides there. He had Heflin for about 3 yards.
Needing a yard for a first. Henderson, second effort. Touchdown, Memphis.
With the carry on the right side. Touchdown, Memphis.
By far the best drive of Memphis's day, and they punctuate it with a TD.
Another example of losing contain. You lose contain, you're going to give up a touchdown. Cromartie loses the contain, and it's 6 points for the Tigers.
Now the point after from Riley Patterson.
Give some credit to Roger Joseph, the big offensive tackle. He kind of caused him to lose contain.
Yeah, the JUCO transfer, over 300 pounds. And Darrell Henderson, one of the fastest in the country with a football in his hand. That one goes in with a trot. Well, Memphis had some travel woes. Delayed by 30 minutes at the airport. Power went out at the hotel. They had to divide and conquer to 2 new different hotels. But they traveled over 80 yards, 11 plays for a touchdown of their last possession. C.J. Williams lets it sail. A touchback is Malcolm Perry, 1 of 2 passing, 16 yards. 44 yards on the ground, 22 came on 1 play. And here a draw. Perry, he's not avoiding the contact in this game. T.J. Carter drills him just shy of the stick. It's 9+.
You worry as it is about all the contact your quarterback has to take in this offense. You add to that to the fact that you've got a quarterback that's 5'9", about 185 pounds. That's the kind of result sometimes when you take those kind of shots. Sometimes you got to go out and take a quick, deep breath.
So Perry is out after that vicious contact. Zach Abey is in. Now that does happen at short yardage, but Perry looked to be a little rattled there. Inside run. And they'll get the first down here. Curtis Akins takes down the fullback Anthony Gargiulo, gain of 4. Now good news for Navy. Zach Abey was incredibly capable during the 5-0 start last year until that Memphis loss.
And played all year long really well. Different kind of quarterback. Very, very strong. Former rugby player, in high school. Very physical, 210 pounds. Different kind of quarterback.
Perry is back here off the fake. Not a whole lot there, and he gets double teamed and driven to the ground. Bryce Huff and Tyrus Lindsey, only one. Here's a look at Perry going off the field. What do you see?
It was a good, strong hit. He might be just about now taking inventory and trying to regain his breath because they got a lot of good wood when they hit him in that upper body area.
Kendi Amatololo and Ivan Jasper have advised Perry in advance of this year. Try to avoid some of those kind of contact. Second down, the pitch. And the pitch game has worked well. Mike Martin disrupted by Josh Perry. That's going to be good to move the chains. They pick up a dozen.
John, remember I said earlier about the timing when you're the pitch guy? There's a perfect case of timing for Martin as the pitch guy. Perry does a very, very nice job of holding the ball and pitching and hitting Mike Martin in stride.
And Martin's the 3rd fullback who did give Navy a big lift with a huge play, his first action in Hawaii.
He and Smith a little bit more scoots than Gargiulo.
Off the fake. Perry tries to turn it up. Oh, another vicious lick. This time it's Josh Perry, unrelated. Gain of 3.
Akins and Perry combined for the tackle.
Yeah, there's some hits you can try to avoid. You don't have much choice there. That was a clean helmet-to-helmet contact. Nothing dirty about that. That's just how you duck your head. You're going to catch a head sometimes.
And that was Akins with the more violent of the contact. Perry from underneath. Malcolm Perry, later pitch, and there's another seam that gets silenced. Ball down, but he was down right around the 40-yard line. Trey Walker, T.J. Carter got underneath. Gain of 8.
Yeah, how about another case of Martin with a quick pitch? Look at Perry, pitches the ball to Walker. Ooh, Carter comes in and just takes the hip. There's hitting the hip and there's taking the hip. He took that one and went away with it.
Abey
wide
looking
open
to Perry. He got him. And a flag.
Face mask.
That's
17 yards.
That's adding insult to injury if you're Memphis. You've already been kind of
Personal
dinked.
foul. Face mask. Defense. Number 24. Passes the goal. Automatic. First down.
So your brain now has gone from where's the field goal line? Where can they get their next 3 points possibly? Bang, now you're down there inside about the 10-yard line. That was an unbelievable play call. Started out looking like a speed sweep, turned into a toss back to Zach Abey, who turns around and throws it back to Perry for the completion.
Third career catch for Perry, so Tito Wyndham the penalty. Perry off the misdirection, the late pitch, ball loose and out of bounds. Taj Malloy, who had no carries, no catches on his career entering this campaign, saw it squirt free. Tyrese Lindsey, the strong safety, knocked it loose.
You hear the term, put your head on the ball if you're a defender. Watch this. That is a perfect example of head on the ball. That's why you need to get that ball in the upfield side. He had it on the right hand, in the right hand. That helmet just came right to it into that right arm. That had to hurt.
6-yard line, second down, goal.
And they take a look at Malloy on the sidelines.
Time of possession right now. Got to end it with a touchdown.
Perry, little indecisive, slips through a couple of hits, but Tyrese Lindsey is there to bear hug him. He'll lose a yard.
We talked about the timing, and the timing on the pitch has to be perfect. If you hesitate in the option offense, you are dead meat, and the vultures are going to come get you. Perry hesitated, they came and got him.
Perry with his feet, touchdown. I'm sure the need to call timeout will still be a learning tool, but there's a big exhale after you get the score, and you can see the relationship mended immediately.
Well, they were thinking, the defense was thinking pass. They got the quick motion. Perry did a good job of doing that quick toss to influence them. That quick toss affected a couple defenders. I think that's helped stretch the inside of that defense out to where he could score.
But the point after fails. And a very odd 9-7 score. Garrett Lewis, we've seen issue gripping the football. The third quarterback, the best passing quarterback, is also the holder, and he could not corral the football.
It was about face mask high, so it wasn't a bad snap. He handled it about like Brady White did that shotgun snap we showed earlier. It hit his hands and kind of slipped.
And remember, the Navy will have the football to begin the second half with the lead. Now we will step aside after the break. It's to our CBS Sports Network studio in New York. The halftime report powered by Ram Trucks. Brent Stover, Houston Nutt, Kevin Carter are standing by at the break. Navy 9, Memphis 7. And welcome back to the home opener. Time now for our first half stats brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Two categories pop a little bit there, Randy.
Just a little bit. The turnovers, big deal. Time of possession. But if you're a Memphis Tiger fan, you're not that disappointed. You're down by a couple of points, and you really haven't had the ball that much. And twice you've had the ball, you've coughed it up.
And it was turnovers, a big part of that first half, as Navy got the ball right out of the gates.
Yeah, first it was Sean Williams getting an arm on the ball and causing a fumble, and then Elon Nash, just before the receiver got to the ground, he knocks that ball out. And then late in the second quarter, Perry takes that ball in for a touchdown, and that's all set up by that play fake, because he violently motioned to the outside on a toss, and I think all the inside defense started running to the sideline.
Do you have any fortunes for the second?
I didn't see one. That's my fault. We didn't order out.
We'll get something here. They hang it. And the whistles blare. So Navy has the ball to begin the second. We go down to Sheehan, who has word from the two head coaches.
Guys, yes, I talked to Coach Norvell, and he was not going to use the weather as an excuse, although it's clear it's very slippery down here. The rains continue to come down. The guys really can't get their hands dry enough, but Norvell said they cannot turn the ball over. They had to play better on offense. He was pleased with the defense. Coach Niumatalolo, similar sentiments, happy with his defensive play. He must play better on offense, and he was not concerned with the amount of contact that Malcolm Perry had received those big hits.
Appreciate that, Sheehan. He did take some significant licks. Perry, surrounded by Tigers, gets 4. Bryce Huff got the most of them, and here's a look at what Navy did when it had the football in the first.
And let's be realistic. Navy had 149 yards. They had the ball for the lion's share of that first half, and they scored 9 points. There's not much of a downside if you're Memphis. Memphis, hold on to the ball, execute, and the points will come. There are clearly some spots that Memphis can take advantage to me.
Lion's share against the Tigers, who were down a guy, went to the Bears. I got it.
Yeah.
Perry losing his footing some, and Jackson Dillon helps him out of bounds with some help from T.J. Carter. Now, Carter's a dynamite athlete at corner who can be a matchup problem, and Ken Niumatalolo, his offense on the field, faces a 3rd down and 7.
I mean, you talk about a work in progress. As a football player, and Perry as a quarterback in this option is still kind of a work in progress. Remember, he was an A-back last year, gained most of his yards as a running back, and especially when he gets in those pitch situations, it's when there seems to be a little bit of uncertainty of what to do with the ball. I know he knows what to do with the ball, but it's how you do it with the ball that seems at times a little bit missing.
He does work well out of this formation, though. Swings it to Gargiulo. Gargiulo shrugs off the first hit. Second effort has him still just short. 4th down, punt unit on.
Did you notice the two hands on the ball by Gargiulo? Smart move. You're out in the flats, you're fullback. They flip you a little pass out there. If you're going to try to get tough and get some yards, wrap that ball up and don't expose it to any bad plays or bad possibilities.
Well, 3 and out. Owen White to punt. John Pop Williams lets it sail out of bounds. Ken Niumatalolo began his tenure as the Navy head man 8-0 against Army, but has lost the last couple. Still tied for the most wins in series history with West Point's Earl Red Blake, who won 8, lost 8, and tied a couple of times.
The legendary Earl Blake, there in the days of Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, and the Heisman trophies.
A big heyday for Army. As this pass incomplete, looking for DeMonte Coxie. The footing wasn't clean for Brady White. He's been a little out of sorts all day.
Well, both the footing and the gripping. So, you know, when you heard from Sheehan earlier that he got his ankle rolled up to in practice, but nothing happened to his hands. And right now, though, it's wet. He's really making it look a little bit more difficult gripping the ball for the throw.
Darrell Henderson, who can fly. Through a couple of midshipmen, shrugs a tackle. Big block! Henderson can run, and he'll take it all the way. Second score of the game for Darrell Henderson.
Well, any questions on the importance of the first tackler percentage that I mentioned in the very beginning of this game? Because when you get a runner like Henderson and you get a shot like that and a shot like that, you can just say, see you later, bye, because you got nobody that's going to catch him. You get your chances against skill players like this, especially some of these teams in the American. You've got to get them that first time because you're going to be waving at them the second time.
78 yards. Point after was tipped, but it is good.
Henderson's kick is good. At 7:35.
Juan Haley, starting strong safety, had a chance to bring him down. Henderson shrugged him off, and then Williams bashed by a double. Henderson off for a score. Back in Annapolis, where hearts are heavy. Earlier this month, Navy lost one of her greats, Dr. Calvin Huey, the first African-American football player at the Naval Academy. Passed away September the 1st at the age of 75. Dr. Huey earned 2 varsity letters on the football team as a wide receiver. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. When asked during a 2011 interview if he made a difference for other African Americans, the deferential Huey's voice broke as he said, in a small way, yeah, it gave people hope they could do the same thing. All of us at CBS offer our deepest sympathy to his family. C.J. Williams spilled just beyond the 25, mark him at about the 27. And Garrett Lewis back in at quarterback. The pitch, Makekau surrounded by white jerseys. Tito Wyndham got the biggest of the contact. Armed Forces football, proudly sponsored by USAA.
And now here's another example. We talked about first and second down. 2 yards on that play. It was a little smoother looking option on the flip, but on the flip side, the Memphis defense was in perfect position to stop that option play.
And they've had success against Tulane, which runs a different version, but very option influenced system. Austin Hall has been the star over the years. Off the fake, Lewis, Navy's best passer, steps up, lets it rip. Too tall and long, incomplete. Looking for Taj Malloy, has been targeted quite a bit on the pitches and in the air.
Now the different thing in this offense, and you know, Lewis is the better passer. Now we're looking at again Kenny Niumatalolo's offenses in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 on these last few possessions. You're asking your quarterback, when you're throwing to the A-backs like that, you're trying to hit on a crossing pattern that's hard enough to hit anyway. A 5'8" to 5'9" A-back, surrounded by 6'1", 6'2" linebackers and DBs. It's a tough ask. It really is, and there's no room for error.
3rd and 7. Off the timeout, fake pitch. Lewis wide open, finds Taylor Jackson, and they get the first down. 13 yards on the hookup to Jackson, who had 1 career catch entering this his senior campaign.
Watch the middle of this defense here as they react. There's no one to fake it to, but they still react play side to that action. And by reacting to play side, that enables the receiver, Jackson, to be wide open. Lewis, nice job. He didn't exactly hit him in stride, but at least he hit him waist high.
And Jackson a bigger target too. He's a 6'3" wide receiver. Go to the fullback dive and get a couple. Now, you spoke of the more diminutive nature of those A-backs, the wing players in the slot. At wide receiver, Navy's got some bigger guys this year.
Especially the one side, the side that Jackson plays, not AB and them on the other side. They're 6'1", 6'2". You know, Michael Cooper, the backup, the freshman, he is all of 6'5", 220. He is a big, healthy wide receiver.
Yeah, we saw those guys at the start of training camp, and eyes popped. Off the fake. Lewis says, I can run too. Spilled by Carter, but that's another first in the Memphis territory. A dozen on the ground.
Well, nice recognition by Lewis, because he looks up and he's getting man coverage out of Memphis. They're committed to stopping that run. Leaves him in man on the outside. Those DBs start running off. He hits that plant foot and says, oh man, heck, I can run. Just runs out and gets him some free yards.
Nelson Smith, the fullback, he'll lead the way for Lewis. Ball down, and Memphis pounces. Memphis football. J.J. Russell able to knock it free, and Tyrez Lindsey recovers.
You remember earlier in the game how we talked about Perry and how he was holding the ball with that right hand on top of the point and just ripping it and holding it into his chest? Well, the ball's available. Lewis is coming out. but the ball is not just ripped into his upper armpit with the point in. He's sort of, it's free. The helmet hits the ball and it's coming out. Not that that's not going to happen if you have it the right way, but I'll tell you what, there's the turnover road for Memphis.
On the run, right through the heart of the D. Henderson does it again, this time for 59. 3 scores on the ground.
You got to look inside. What is the defense available? If you're Memphis, you look up at this Navy defense, look inside. 1, 2, 3, 4 people. You've got 5 offensive linemen. Last time I checked, John, I think that's a mismatch. I think it's a good play to run inside and perfectly executed.
Math not my strong suit, but I'm with you there. And all Garrett Lewis can do is watch. But they have an incredibly deep stable of backs, probably the best known commodities returning for this offense.
Right, exactly. And they've been able to, in this game, take advantage, you know, of that first tackle not being the one that gets them, or in the instance of just having the numbers game. And just like against Navy, against Hawaii, look at the numbers inside. You just don't have enough people. There are 4 defenders. You've got 2 wide outside defensive ends and 2 inside linebackers. The nose tackle goes away. He takes himself out of the play. And once Polo goes outside and Heflin gets engulfed, it's clear sailing. There's nobody in there because the safeties are so coverage-centric on the outside with the slots.
First 3 touchdown game on the ground for Henderson. And here, look to the up man, the fair catch. So Navy's offense back out as Fagot secured the football, but Navy's got to get points. Perry has the lone TD, but the conversion failed.
The other word I haven't mentioned much so far today is methodical, because we haven't seen one of these typically methodical drives out of Navy. That's what they could use right here, is just to pound down the field.
Perry goes inside and gets a few right into the sea of gray and white defenders. Tim Hart, the denial.
And if there's a comeback here for Navy, they're going to be doing something out of character, because usually they're the team leading going into the 4th quarter with a great record doing it. Now they're down by 12 points.
We are through 3. Ken Niumatalolo's team has dropped 7 of 9 going back to last year. It was Mike Norvell's Tigers that started the slide. The 4th is on the other side of this big matchup in the American West. The Navy can attest to Hawaii's success offensively. That was the week 0 matchup. Perry carries a few, but Austin Hall helps out Josh Perry. That will be good for the first. Give him about 11, or excuse me, 6.
Josh Perry with the tackle.
So Navy on the move, 4th quarter, but down 21-9. And you pointed out during break, getting outgained on the ground by Memphis.
How about that? Almost 80 yards more running than passing for Memphis. That's showing some of that patience and versatility. We gave the credit to Coach Jasper. Give some to Coach Norvell and his staff for taking advantage of what they can do.
Off the fake, Perry tries to turn it up, and Dillon is right there. Dillon, with his size, can really move.
Yeah, he can. And this is an offense that is just now in this drive, John. Despite what Dillon's doing and company, they're starting to look a little bit like their old self, a little bit like their old methodical self, and that's a good sign. Plenty of time left, 14 minutes going. You're down by 2 touchdowns. Plenty of time left in this game, but you got to make plays.
Perry has nothing. Austin Hall is there.
Well, last year, Austin Hall seemed to make every play in the world against this offense, and early on, he came screaming out of the defensive backfield, and here you see it again.
So here's a critical 3rd down, 21-9. Navy doesn't have the kind of offense that can just chuck it stop the clock and how Memphis's offense has found rhythm. I feel like a lot weighs here.
2 down territory. They get it. If they don't get it here, they'll go for it on 4th.
Perry, the pitch, that was forward. Malloy's got nothing.
Yeah, that'll go in the books as a pass. That'll drop to the ground. That'd have been an incomplete pass.
So Joseph Dorsey is the stop, 4th down, and the punt unit is out. Any chance of a fake here?
Well, there's always a chance of a fake, but like I was the guy that just said 13, 14 minutes left. There's still plenty of time. You're only down by 12. You're a big defensive play and some consistent offense, which you haven't seen enough of, away from getting back in this game.
Owen White lets it fly. Fair catch signal from Williams. Memphis will have the ball back at the 15. So White and company pounding on the ground have driven the lead to 21-9. They'll try to salt it in the 4th on the road in the conference opener. Let's take a look at the Chick-fil-A game summary. Memphis pounding the football in the second half.
Yeah, they really have, for that 142 yards, and Henderson's gotten the lion's share. It has been an impressive performance. We came in expecting a lot of high power, and Memphis has shown a lot of fundamentals and a lot of real good hard-nosed stuff inside, breaking tackles.
Coxie left a little prone, made the first man miss. Josh Webb was there to polish him off, and it almost feels like with this lead in the 4th quarter that, sure, if Memphis can get a score, that'd be great. But as long as they keep Navy off the field, they're squeezing that oxygen out, as you like to say.
Yeah, that's what the clock is. To the offense, it's oxygen. There's the quarterback right there, up on the top side of the defense.
Direct snap. Patrick Taylor. Ball loose.
There it is.
Navy football. Juan Haley, who missed on the hit on the Henderson touchdown, right on the spot as the trick play bombs.
Sort of following up on what you said. They're getting a little cute. You've got the lead. You've been running the ball like crazy. Is this really the time you want to get cute and run trick plays and put your quarterback out at wide receiver? I don't know. Key now is, can you make Memphis pay if you're Navy? Because they really haven't been able to finish drives today in the proper fashion they're used to, and that, it ends up in touchdowns fairly quickly.
3 turnovers for Memphis in the first half, netted a field goal. Here's the first of the second as Jarvis Polu recovered what Juan Haley sprung free. Perry, reverse. Collins Woods. The stiff arm holds, and he wobbles out of bounds in the red zone.
Receiver there, he's going to come around. Remember what I said about contain for the cornerbacks for Navy? Look at contain being lost by the Memphis cornerback. Good job with a nice little stiff arm, helps them lose contain. Nice play call.
On 2nd and 2. Perry zigzagging, tucking, slips through, juke move, big block. Sheer force of will. Touchdown.
Well, we've seen Perry take some hellacious shots today. A lot of physical contacts. But I tell you what, the way he's running here, good luck getting a hand on him, much less hitting him. Look at that movement. Now look at that one. Little cutback, little juke, another juke. That was a pretty run. Turnover and a quick touchdown is just what the doctor ordered.
Point after good. The prescription filled by Malcolm Perry. Showing a shake. He goes for 19, and we've got a ball game. Memphis Tigers got a little cute on a direct snap to Patrick Taylor. Trick play. He puts it on the ground, and Malcolm Perry puts it in the end zone with one of the more electric plays that you'll see. Memphis head coach Mike Norvell talked about it this week. Malcolm Perry, about as dynamic an athlete as you'll find in the American Athletic Conference. He showed it with Sizzle.
Well, the formula for getting Navy back in this game, we mentioned right before it happened, it was basically a big turnover and a quick lightning strike, and suddenly Navy's going to be back in it, and bingo, because they were trying to get cute.
Henderson from inside of the 10. There's a different fire to this Navy team, and it came about with Haley knocking it free.
Yeah, Haley, as you see, puts his helmet right on the ball, knocks that thing out. Now watch this by Perry. Back, over, 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 in, over, dang, bang, bing, bing, touchdown. Pretty easy to figure that thing out, isn't it? Just like you draw it up. There's the over. Here's the next over. Then he puts his foot in the ground. Watch this break. See ya. I mean, Austin Hall's a good DB, and he made him miss.
Meet. And a punishing hit. Hudson Sullivan grappling Darrell Henderson. Malcolm Perry has been on the wrong side of physicality all day, even got a helmet from a teammate.
Best contact on that play was by the teammate, not by the defense.
By the way, congratulations go out to Bennett Mooring, the Navy kicker, now the school record holder, 113 career point after touchdown makes. Anderson trying to counter, doesn't have a whole lot. The defense swarms. Jarvis Polu, who had the fumble recovery that last possession, swings him down.
Polu and Heflin double team on that tackle, and that's 100% on the first tackler percentage. You get that chance to get a guy like Henderson, get him early, because we already found out a couple times you don't get him late if you're the defense.
The brigade going bananas. Sean Williams trying to fire him up. Patrick Taylor, the bigger back, is in. Sidecar to White. One high safety. Over the middle. Incomplete. Jared Ryan popped it free from Pop Williams.
9 minutes and 38 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter. Navy's going to get the ball back on a nice defensive play. Again, that's 3 in a row. Sometimes we love to laud creativity and innovation. Like Memphis found out a couple possessions ago, creativity sometimes gets your tail in some pretty big trouble.
Last 2 possessions have only lasted, what, about 40 seconds? Williams gets the punt off. Jacob Springer. The Navy's got solid field position with plenty of time. Malcolm Perry back to the field. The deficit sits at 5. Navy's come alive in the fourth. Earlier this summer, 30 current and former players were named to the American Athletic Conference's 5th anniversary team. Randy and I voters in that. 8 of the 30 came from these 2 programs. That includes Tony Pollard, one of the greatest return men in America. Perry showing that shake. He has gone to another level. That's a first down. Curtis Akins, the tackle, gain of 8.
And let's give a little credit to the offensive line and also to Perry's recognition. We talked about earlier, you know, his recognition as far as play calling. He's seeing what the defense is giving him, I think, a little bit better. That's why he's getting the yards he's getting.
Tonight's first down line brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Big pop on Perry. Tyrese Lindsey,
Perry over the left side.
very physical safety. Gain of 4.
And getting hit like this, when we talk about these receivers or these quarterbacks getting hit like that, you know, Hall, the safety, kind of finishes them off too, gets a little shot in there. Sometimes when you see it coming, though, you can give a little bit with it. You see, that's another skill, another nuance you have to learn as an option quarterback.
Perry tripped up here by Akins. It's been an ugly, rainy day, and the rain has roared back. We could see it against the stadium lighting here. Seems to have grounded Memphis's air attack, and Navy's had a few giveaways itself.
Yeah, this is definitely 4 down here. So there's this down and the next to get the first down, because holding on to it and points is job 1.
Looked like some movement there. Perry showing some movement. Pirouettes out of bounds. That's another first. Josh Perry helps him out after a pickup of 10.
How about your best pitch is the one you didn't pitch? Looked like he was going to fling the thing. He tucks it. Gets some nice blocks on the outside. Then gets a nice block from Walker.
Haven't seen Zach Abey as involved of late, but this driving rain likely means the ball will be held onto a little more. Perry. Oof. On high from Akins. That's a hard couple of yards.
Akins wasn't having the drop back. A lot of the defense decided they were going to buy the drop back. Akins didn't buy the drop back. He was in spy mode, and he was spying on Perry.
They did a great job of corralling, surrounding Perry through most of the first 3 quarters. Gargiulo grinding through. Chopped down at about the 21, gain of 4.
And remember where we're at now. It's 21-16. You're down by 5. So that lends itself when you start seeing these third downs. Field goal is not really a factor. They're going for a touchdown. So that means you get 3rd and 4th down to get a first down.
Mike Norvell's Memphis team obliterated Mercer last week. That was FCS competition out of the SoCon. That was at home. Here the conference opener for these teams. Gargiulo rumbles to around the 18, gain of about 3. So 4th and short. You go to Abey.
Well, you're currently looking at Perry at quarterback.
3 of 4 on 4th down this year. Abey at quarterback. Follow play. They try to rip it free, and Abey over top picks it up right through Tito Wyndham.
Yeah, Memphis defense has to know when it comes to short yardage and goal line, you're playing the Navy Midshipmen. 3 guarantees: death, taxes, and Abey on short yardage.
And Abey high and tight. He had some fumble issues himself in the late stage of last year, and you can see the pounding of the process. He has been brilliant in short yardage, was dynamite against Hawaii last week.
And great shots there. You're able to see how hard it is raining.
Perry trying to follow his fullback, carries a few Tigers to the 10. It's a hard gain of 6. O'Brien Goodson at 297 was one of the 4 on top of him. Curtis Akins in there as well.
There's a power play out of the relatively diminutive Navy quarterback. Comes up a little bit limping.
Tonight's first down line is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Gargiulo inside of the 5. 1st and goal Navy. Tyrese Lindsey saved the touchdown, but the time continues to tick.
Yeah, that's the big thing now, is this time on the clock. And to answer my own question in my brain, no, there's no such thing as scoring too quickly here.
1st down and goal. Ball at the 4. And Perry is in at quarterback. AB out, Perry in, toss play, Trey Walker turned aside. Great tackle. Tito Wyndham, who got some help on the wing from Bryce Huff, only a yard.
Yeah, how about Wyndham and Huff on the outside? I've talked a lot about contain. Watch contain get maintained. That's a great example there of keeping that contain, turning it back inside, and Wyndham being there as that safety, the slot guy inside, pursuing inside out and making that tackle.
So we get a call timeout here from Memphis.
Yeah, that's nice. You don't give them the outside. That's what Ken Niumatalolo and that offense is looking. They're looking for the speed to be able to take advantage of your defense, and you aren't having it. That's really nice defense on that play.
And Trey Walker turned aside.
Well, ball's at what, the 3.5, 4 yard line? You got 3 shots to make 3.5 yards. 2 shots to get 3.5 yards.
And if you ask Ken Niumatalolo in advance of this game, you have exactly this opportunity, I think he would take it. Personnel change late out of the Memphis call timeout. Just get the wide out on. And they go a couple of big wides. It's Cooper and Jackson together. AB back at quarterback. Follows, scores!
The follow play. It's a play that Zach Abey has just killed people in short yards, goal line, in the field, wherever it's been called. He gets behind his fullback after the fake, sometimes a fake, sometimes just the fullback gets in front of him. And that was an easy score there.
10 rushing touchdowns in his last 3 games. Now you go for 2 to try to make it a field goal affair. Failed on the pass last week. Abey tries to follow again, and this time they know it's coming, and they swarm it.
They followed.
Austin Hall led the way, but Abey plows the path, following Gargiulo to pay dirt. 2.5 minutes left. Memphis, 2 timeouts. A 1-point thriller in the American. Navy is kicked away from the best kick returner in America, Tony Pollard, and a squib here, bobbled by Memphis. Navy pounces, and they go to the up man. That's a bit of a gamble in and of itself. Warming up, Riley Patterson, whose career long 42, happened twice, both times against Navy last year.
And Norvell said he's comfortable from about the 35 in normal conditions. In these wet conditions, I'm sure he'd love to get him in more towards the 25.
2 timeouts for Memphis. Navy has none. On the ground, Henderson. And Springer upends him, but loses his helmet in the process.
Has to go off the field for a play.
So you're already down to your backup safety, and he'll have to leave the field. Norua Obano, who's also in that rotation, comes on instead.
You're now 10, 15 yards from your field goal.
Same play. Henderson cuts it up a little earlier here, and he's inside of that magic 35. That's in more normal conditions.
Yeah, you're 8 yards away from a comfort zone type of a kick. You're inside of 2 minutes, 1:45. Still got those 2 timeouts.
White launches. Incomplete. Obano, the third safety in, shouldered big Sean Dykes, the 6'2", 230-pound tight end.
Pretty nice timing for a guy coming cold off the bench. It's hard not to interfere in that case. He got out there. He got there exactly the same time as the ball did.
And it looks like he's got a stinger, but Springer is back in, who will play press here. He creeps up on the near slot. 3rd down. White one-on-one. incomplete. Jared Ryan in coverage with Pop Williams. What do you do?
Well, you're on the 35. It's a 52-yard field goal. What do you do in these conditions? I think you go for it.
Offense is on the field. 2 timeouts.
I mean, if you're just a percentage guy, and Coach Norvell is a smart football guy, your percentages do not say kick a field goal here. Put it in Brady White's hands. Put it in your best player's hands. And in this case, whether it's a run or a pass, I try to find a way to spread them out and get the ball to Henderson. Not a lot of people go out of their way to talk to the kicker in this case. Even the kicking coach stays away from him.
Bit of a human hot potato. So there's the wind as read by the upright.
You know, it's funny because the ribbons on the uprights tell you the wind's dead. The flags on the stadium tell you there's a little bit more wind up there than it looks.
Offense on the field, a little confusion out of the huddle.
The prevailing wind does come at the back of the Memphis Tigers in this case.
They were perfect last week against Mercer. The game could hang in the balance here. White. Brought down, ball free! Navy holds on 4th down. Anthony Villalobos. And Ken Niumatalolo telling his team, hey, this game is not over yet. Get off the field.
Yeah, Polo was hurt a little bit on that play.
There is a flag down at the 30-yard line to the far side.
It's probably on the team for coming on the field. Sideline penalty.
A Navy team that's rarely penalized. Mental mistakes are not part of Navy that in Ken Niumatalolo's era finished first or second for fewest penalties in all of college football every year but last year. Game's not over, but some of the teams spilling out.
Yeah, they flush Brady White. They sack Brady White. He cannot get that first down. The emotion got the better of him briefly.
Victory formation. Memphis has 1 timeout. Now also keep in mind that Memphis elected to call that timeout there, not to kick a field goal, to run an offensive play on 4th down. When the game clock was frozen, it was the play clock that was working.
You know, let's give credit to the Navy defense on that play, because they took that play away from the Memphis Tigers.
Ken Niumatalolo eyes down on 4th down. He's an emotional man. He could tell from the crowd. Eyes averted. And immediately right back into head coach mode. Come on, fellas. Let's go.
Now it's time to start hurting your Chargers. Get them back on the field. Get them off the field. So no more timeouts left. 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Another knee for Navy, up a skinny point on Memphis. Last year, Navy started 5-0, was ranked in the top 25, and ran into the buzzsaw of 5 turnovers at Memphis. That created a tailspin that saw the team lose 7 of 9 from that point until today. Now 1 minute remaining.
Remember the fortune cookie that Kenny Niumatalolo got at the staff dinner?
I tell you something, they're going to eat Chinese in their staff lunch every week for the rest of the year.
Good things come at home, and they have today. Touchdown underdog, and you're going to win by 1.
Well, the knee from Perry. Play clock, game clock coincide. Handshakes can be exchanged. And under Ken Niumatalolo, Navy will go to 10-1 in home openers and get a giant victory over the preseason favorite in the American West. And what a difference a week can make. Down 28-0 from the jump against Hawaii last week.
Hey, you can talk about the lack of coordination at times with the offense. How about the defense for Navy compared to what we saw last week in Hawaii? What a transformation.
Let's go downstairs to Sheehan.
Coach, you were right. The fortune cookie was correct. Good things happen at home. What was the difference in this game?
Our kids continue to fight. You got to give Memphis credit. They're a good team. We found a way our kids kept battling at the end. But it's who our young men are. They're resilient young men. But like I said, Memphis is a really good team, and just really proud they're able to get a win.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheehan. The winner of this game has taken at least a share of the American West every year that the league has been around. That's the weight this game can have.
You know, people can say, why have a game this early, this big? Kudos to college football and the schedulers and the athletic departments, because we need these kind of games in college football early. We don't need the mismatches. We need more games where something's really on the line.
And kudos to Dale Pearson and his team. For the Hall of Famer Randy Cross, a soaking wet Sheehan Stanwyck Birch downstairs, and our entire crew. I'm John Sadak. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. We say so long from soggy Annapolis. We'll take you back to our New York studios inside college football. Brent Stover, Houston Nutt, Kevin Carter are standing by. Your final, Navy 22, Memphis 21.